1999, on the whole, wasn't the strongest year for WWE. Now, don't get me wrong, they were making more money than your dad does at that special club where he dances for the businessmen, but they'd leaned a little too hard into the craziness of the Attitude Era and the product had started to foam at the mouth. The road to SummerSlam 99 was a strange one. The first plan was Stone Cold versus Triple H with then Governor Jesse the Body Ventura as guest referee. Then China became #1 contender to Austin's WWE title, possibly because Jesse Ventura refused to hurt his political career by raising Triple H's hand. Then Mankind returned and won the #1 contendership off China. Then Triple H and Mankind fought for it, which went to a no contest. So that's how we ended up with the triple threat between Mankind, Triple H, and Austin. Austin was supposed to drop the title to Triple H, but instead he dropped it to Mankind, who then dropped it to Triple H 24 hours later. That's dumb, that. I'm Plumpy from WhatCulture.com, and here are 10 fascinating facts about SummerSlam 99. Number 10, it was Mark Henry's only gold for a decade. A child born the day that Mark Henry first walked into WWE would now be old enough to drink in America. The dude is tenured. Mark Henry's been in the WWE for over 2 decades, and it's fair to say the second one was more lucrative for the wig splitter, winning the World Heavyweight title in 2011. His first decade was more barren. So Henry turned on Eurocontinental champion D'Lo Brown in the opener of SummerSlam 1999, allowing Jeff Jarrett to win both belts. The next night on Raw, in another Attitude Era staple of championship nonsense, Jarrett simply gave the European title to Henry as a gift. This not only marked the first belt that Henry would, quote, win, but it was also the only piece of gold he would hold until 2008, 12 years after he started working for Vince. Number 9, Crash Holly had debuted 12 days earlier. The tag team turmoil match, the classic everyone in the pool mid-carder jamboree to try and get everyone a payday, featured the Acolytes finally going over the Holly Cousins. See, WWE's tag team scene in 1999 was white hot with the likes of Edge and Christian, the Hardy Boys, the Acolytes, Too Cool, and the incoming Dudley Boys. A last-minute addition to that already impressive group would be the Holly Cousins. Hardcore Holly in the midst of his best push yet, and an unexpected relative, indie journeyman Michael Lockwood, previously best known as Leprechaun Aaron O'Grady, getting a shot in WWE after impressing officials. Initially, Lockwood was supposed to play a luchador on WWE's long since forgotten Super Astros show, but was instead repackaged as Crash Holly, Hardcore's diminutive, somewhat goofy cousin. Crash surfaced for the first time on August 10th, 99, less than 2 weeks before SummerSlam, straight to pay-per-view in only 12 days on camera. Not bad. Number 8 had one of Y2J's few good segments. No one watching Raw in 99 will ever forget the August 9th edition of Raw. Chris Jericho had made it to the main stage following weeks of counting down to his arrival, and the initial crowd reaction was super hot. It's a now iconic Raw moment, though Jericho wasn't satisfied. His sour pout at the end of The Rock's retort had, in his mind, made him look weak, and his promo the following night, where he called The Undertaker boring, got him a ton of backstage heat. Jericho's promo on Road Dogg at SummerSlam, however, went off rather well, and Jericho calls it one of the few good segments in my early WWE career. Number 7, the TESTISHANE match was constantly rehearsed. Some wrestlers are happy to just call it in the ring, like Ric Flair and Steve Austin. Others, like Randy Savage or DDP, will hand you a script the size of War and Peace. Matches featuring Shane McMahon are more of the latter due to the high volume of contrived stunts and Shane's lack of intensive formal training. His lover or leaver match at SummerSlam with Test was meticulously crafted as a result. Pete Gas revealed years later that he, Shane, Test, and the rest of the Mean Street Posse met for 2 or 3 days to exactly choreograph the match to Shane's liking. There would be no improv, as Shane went over specific spots over and over and over again until he was satisfied. I mean, you can't argue with the results. It was the sleeper hit of the show. Number 6, the Mean Street Posse bought many of their props. The SummerSlam match between Shane and Test was one of the no-holds-barred variety, like most of Shane's matches, and as you'd expect, a number of weapons came into play. Some of the artillery was high society themed, including a mailbox with dollar signs painted on it. According to Pete Gas, the Mean Street Posse, aka Shane McMahon's super best friends gang, went out and bought many of the items themselves, even claiming that the mailbox came from a store on Greenwich Avenue, so it was authentically posh in its own right. Number 5, all 3 major belts changed hands on a show for the first time. The classic Triple Crown, the WWE Intercontinental and World Tag Team Championships. You might have seen 2 of those belts change hands on a pay-per-view, but rarely do you see 3. In fact, only twice have all 3 belts changed on a single pay-per-view. SummerSlam 1999 was the first. The show opened with Jeff Jarrett winning the Intercontinental belt from D'Lo Brown. Later, Undertaker and Big Show won the World Tag Team belts from X-Pac and Kane. In the main event, Steve Austin dropped the WWE Championship to Mankind. As for the other show, you'd have to skip ahead 10 whole years years to TLC 2009. There, Drew McIntyre won the IC belt from John Morrison, Sheamus upset John Cena for the WWE Championship, and Triple H and Shawn Michaels captured the unified tag team belts from Chris Jericho and The Big Show. Number 4, Ventura's appearance was partly out of spite. Jesse Ventura and Vince McMahon had troubles with each other over the years. After all, Ventura did beat his old boss in court in 1994 over videotape royalties, time, and opportunities for cash money. But it turns out that time heals all wounds, as does cash money, and Ventura found himself working for Vince McMahon one more time. Despite the fact that at one point Ventura and McMahon hated each other, there was some in the industry that the governor hated more. In a 2012 Shoot interview, Ventura admitted that one of the reasons he took the SummerSlam gig was to stick it to two then WCW figures, Hulk Hogan and my dad, Eric Bischoff. Bischoff fired Ventura from WCW in 1994, and the Body long held a grudge against the Hulkster for allegedly blocking Ventura's attempt to unionize the wrestling industry in 1986. The enemy of my enemy is my friend, and Ventura worked with McMahon to stick it to WCW by making SummerSlam a must-buy. Number 3, the main event ending was controversial. The hasty insertion of Mankind into the presumed coronation match of Triple H as WWE champion was peculiar, and even more head-scratching when Mick Foley won the belt instead, kicking off a mere 24-hour run with the gold. The prevailing legend is that Austin refused to put Triple H over and Foley acted as a transitional middleman. Dave Meltzer, however, has since said that Austin did not have a problem with Helmsley himself. Reports at the time claimed that Shawn Michaels was in Triple H's ear leading up to the match, and that Austin's apparent refusal to let Helmsley pin him stemmed from his long-running dislike of the clique politicking from back in the day. Number 2, Triple H saved Austin from a blown spot. Austin was still at the zenith of his popularity, but even the Rattlesnake had its flubby moments. One such incident occurred at SummerSlam 99, and the company's top heel had to be the one to save him. Right after Jesse Ventura's run-in with Shane McMahon during the main event, Austin began climbing the turnbuckles. According to Stone Cold, it was his first time wearing a second knee brace and he wasn't comfortable with it. He ended up tumbling, getting himself caught in the ropes, and he was at a loss to free himself. The governor apparently didn't hear Austin screaming for him to come over and liberate his legs from the rope trap, and it was up to Triple H to run over and pull Austin up while still making it look like he was assaulting him. Teamwork makes the dream work. And number 1, SummerSlam did triple business in Minnesota. Ventura had a hot name in '99 as media outlets ran with the whole ex-WWE lowbrow entertainer wins big political office story, which would never happen again. When it was announced that Ventura would be guesting at SummerSlam in his home state, political talking heads were apoplectic. Regardless of whether his appearance was befitting the dignity of his office, all the hype over his appearance helped SummerSlam do big business in Minnesota. SummerSlam was down 100,000 buys from the previous year, but hey, it's the late 90s, it's still the third most bought SummerSlam ever, but the event did triple the usual number of buys in Minnesota. To this day, I wonder what non-fans from Minnesota who probably tuned in to see what their governor was up to, I wonder what they thought of the Lions Den match or the wrestling match to decide whether the man could marry the woman. And that's our list. Did we miss any out? Tell us about it in the comments. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. I'm Plumpy from WhatCulture.com, and I'll see you soon.